So next up, I'm delighted to welcome Sinead Farrell. Sinead is Senior Marketing Executive with Spirit Motor Group. Spirit Motor Group is one of Ireland's largest automotive retail groups with no fewer than 9 locations. They were established in 2004 and they represent some of the world's most celebrated brands, including Jaguar, Land Rover, Volvo, Ford, Skoda, Seat and Volkswagen. So, discussing the customer's journey towards electric driving, I'm delighted to welcome Sinead Farrell.
Hello everyone, my name is Sinead Farrell and I am a Senior Marketing Executive in Spirit Motor Group. We are based in Sandyford and occupy 7 buildings within the area. We are home to a number of well-known brands such as Jaguar, Land Rover, Volvo, Ford, Skoda, Seat and Cupra. Our company has been in the motor sales and after-sales business for many years in Ireland. Today, I am here to speak to you about the customer's journey towards electric driving and some of the trends we are seeing across the industry. I will discuss some of the challenges facing customers, but also the opportunities that lay ahead as we move towards greener driving. Climate change is a stark reality which we are now facing. There is no denying this. It calls for a complete restructure as to how we live our lives if we are to meet the reduction in emissions needed to reach our necessary targets. We now understand that emissions from the motoring industry, like many other industries, have led to where we are today. This needs to change. The people of Ireland now understand that we have relied upon fossil fuels for far too long and can no longer afford to do so. The growth in the numbers of people choosing to walk, cycle or scoot for their transport needs is a welcome sight. We all know that this is necessary and should be our chosen means of transport whenever physically possible. Making a pledge to do this will make a difference. Tackling climate change requires sacrifice. We simply cannot continue to move and live in the ways we once did. For journeys which cannot be gotten to on foot, public transport should then be the next option and consideration for all. Unfortunately, we know that a Luas, a bus or a train isn't a reality for a lot of people across the island of Ireland today. There are many gaps in the current public transport offering, and some of us are regularly travelling long distances or routes that are not yet served. Others may have medical reasons or circumstances which may result in them not being able to take public transport. This needs to be thought about and taken into consideration. It means a car is still a necessary thing for a big percentage of our population. For those of us who need a car for longer journeys, we need to be equipped with the knowledge to make the best possible choice for the planet. For many of us, we already use various different transport methods depending on the journey and route. Drivers also take public transport, cycle and walk. Walkers also drive and cycle. We need to keep the focus on making the right decisions for the journey in question as we move forward. What does this mean for our industry then? The motoring industry and all drivers are in a period of transition. The industry is moving forward and working towards greener, cleaner driving. This is an extremely exciting time for the motoring industry as we pave the way with new technologies and different ways of moving. So for those of us who still need a car, electric is our future. I think we can all agree on that. And for some of us, it's already our reality. We have adapted to plugging in our cars at night, successfully driving in fully electric mode, and find it hard to believe we ever did it any other way. People are actively moving towards greener driving. SEAI have reported that there have been 14,000 new electric vehicles registered in this year to date. They also state that there are over 41,000 electric vehicles, including plug-in hybrids, on Irish roads today. We see the move towards electric vehicles within our own customer group too. Our customers are hungry for information and want to know how these vehicles work, what the charging infrastructure is like, how long the range is, and so on. For our customers, there are 4 main engine types to think about when it comes to greener driving: mild hybrid, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and fully electric. A mild hybrid engine combines a traditional combustion engine with an electric motor. It automatically turns the engine off whenever the car is coasting, braking, or stopped to save energy. A hybrid engine can drive on battery power alone and operate in fuel-efficient zero-emissions mode up to 62% of the time due to a very powerful battery. A plug-in hybrid combines a combustion engine and an electric motor and can also be charged from an external source of electricity. This is currently the most popular type of engine our customers choose. A recent AA poll also reveals that this is the dominant choice for people planning to change the vehicle in the next few years. This same poll found that 63% of people who now own a hybrid vehicle plan on buying another one when they next change, and not moving to fully electric yet. While the average hybrid range at the moment lies around 50 kilometres, brands are beginning to extend this out to be up to 100 kilometres. We are already beginning to see this on newly announced models for next year. We are already beginning to see this across the board as a game changer, and it makes hybrid vehicles accessible and appropriate for more people. Finally, a fully electric vehicle is powered solely by a battery charged from an external electricity supply, with additional inputs for regenerative braking. 25 to 30% of all car sales in Ireland will be some form of electric or hybrid vehicle in 2022, growing each year thereafter. New models are coming across the industry to meet this demand. Within Spirit Motor Group alone, we now have 18 different electric and plug-in hybrid models across the many brands we represent. All are available within the market now, and there is great interest. However, while the appetite for information is there, the reality is not every customer is able to choose an electric vehicle for themselves at this time. There are many challenges customers face when trying to make the switch. Mobility is about the movement of people, and people need to be able to move quickly and freely for our daily lives. We are all working against the clock, whether it's dropping our kids to school or getting ourselves to work on time. This is always the number one factor customers face when buying a car: the need to get places. We can all relate to this, and often when we need a car, we need it quickly. The growing trend across our business is that customers will have done the bulk of their research online before coming into us, and often when they do come in, they're ready to buy. This means availability is a key factor in the customer's decision-making process. Unfortunately, not every brand in the market has the same lineup or number of hybrid or electric vehicles available, so this quickly limits customers' choice. This is further impacted by lack of electric used cars within the marketplace. As the technology has only really begun to be taken up in recent years, it means that there are physically not enough used cars to support the needs of a used market now. It is therefore critical that our government continue to encourage the growth of EVs into the future. One particular avenue which would benefit the market hugely would be to incentivise businesses to move their fleet cars to be electric vehicles. This would have a great impact on the used car market within a few years, and therefore make electric vehicles more available to the everyday driver. We all know the true reality of the next factor: budget. Each customer has a unique budget. This impacts what type of vehicle the customer will ultimately choose. While we have a growing range of hybrid and electric vehicles available, they are still not the dominant stock, and so sometimes can be more expensive. Of course, as brands begin to release more and more electric vehicles, the better the situation will be, but that does take time. Plus, as so many customers are looking to buy used cars and not brand new vehicles, the lack of supply within the used car market, paired with a set budget, really limits the customer's choice. However, if the customer does have a budget to buy a fully electric or hybrid car, there are substantial savings and operating costs to consider. The average motorist who is used to spending 50 or 60 euro every week fueling their car could be charging for less than 10 euro a week instead. Servicing costs could be 50% less than you typically see on a regular petrol or diesel car. Overall, it is very likely that the cost of buying the car versus the savings of operating costs will balance out over time. The next thing a customer needs to think about is the actual capacity of the vehicle needed. Some customers are driving themselves to and from places. Their needs are very simple. But others have many more people to transport and so need a vehicle with many seats. If you need a 7-seater vehicle, for example, this is another factor that will influence and narrow down your choices considerably. While there are 7-seater plug-in hybrid vehicles in the market, that doesn't necessarily mean it is there on the day the customer wishes to buy, or that it's at the right price point for that customer. Then we meet the engine type. While a lot of our customers want to make the environmental choice, they may not be ready to do so. This could be down to the type of driving they do, or maybe a lack of chargers in their local area. These realities can again limit the customer's choice. If the customer is unable to charge their vehicle at work or around their neighbourhood, it is highly unlikely that it will meet their lifestyle needs. Customers living in terraced houses also face obstacles charging, as they may not even have a driver to pull into. We look towards the government to make further investment into the charging infrastructure and make it level for all. This is part of the reason so many customers are choosing plug-in hybrids instead of fully electric vehicles at this time. They do not have 100% trust in the charging infrastructure and like having the backup of traditional fuel just in case. We are beginning to see customers still choose a traditional engine type, but really engage in conversations around electric and hybrid cars, wanting to find out more. This has now become a big part of our sales team's role, educating the customer about new technologies so they're ready to buy when the time comes. But if customers are still walking out the door with petrol and diesel engines, does that mean nothing has changed at all? No. Our industry is in a time of transition, and even traditional petrol and diesel cars are cleaner than they once were. The development of mild hybrid technology actively helps cut down emissions from these types of vehicles. Mild hybrid is quickly becoming the base standard for brands across the board and is often a customer's first step towards an electric vehicle. I believe customers who are driving cars which are 10 plus years old should also now be strongly encouraged to move into newer models. Newer models of petrol and diesel cars have less emissions than their old counterparts. This is a fact. Even if a customer cannot afford to move into an electric vehicle yet, moving into a newer version of their vehicle will help improve and reduce their transport emissions. For a lot of customers, this is the most realistic change in the short term. It is available to a wider range of budgets, and there is more second-hand supply within the market currently. All new cars created since 2015 need to have met the Euro 6 standard for emissions. These are the cleanest traditional fueled cars in history, and moving from an old car into a Euro 6 approved vehicle would make a huge difference to your personal transport emissions if driving. So after taking all these factors into consideration, what can customers buy? Well, we're thrilled to say that every brand we work with is pushing electric vehicles to the fore of their product lineup. Brands such as Jaguar, Volvo, Cupra have already announced plans to become fully electric within the next 10 years. Even iconic vehicles such as Land Rover Defender and Ford's Mustang are now available as electric cars. All of our brands offer mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles and are actively trying to move away from old petrol and diesel engines. Land Rover, for example, has typically always been known for large V8 engines. Now 95% of sales are plug-in hybrids, and they have seen a reduction in average CO2 emissions of 50% since 2019. Work is being done every single day across every brand in the world to reduce emissions. We understand that not every customer has the circumstance to drive out today in an electric car, but it is now our job in the motoring industry to ensure that every customer understands that electric vehicles are here and the huge benefits they offer. As I have already mentioned, electric vehicles offer long-term savings in operational costs for consumers. Another important point to note is that having a car with a battery of capacity sitting outside your door is another asset to your name. It will give you the possibility of selling electricity back to the grid, or the ability to use your battery to save buying electricity when it is at a high cost. Mobility is about the movement of people, and we are now in a time where a hybrid model makes most sense for all of us. This means walking, cycling, scooting, taking public transport, and only taking our cars out for when the journey is necessary. We all need to put more thought into our transport choices, weighing up our options and deciding what is most appropriate for the route in question. Learning about new technologies and new engines plays a part in this. It is never too early to begin the journey. I am inviting anyone listening to this to speak to our team at Spirit Motor Group about hybrid and electric cars and transport emissions, and learn to begin to understand what is possible today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sinead Farrell, Senior Marketing Executive, Spirit Motor Group. A couple of things I picked up on. Yes, it's very, I suppose it's challenging for customers, the price point of some electric vehicles, but the thing to take into consideration is the long-term savings in the running costs as well. And I know personally from talking to people previously would have had charging anxiety. That was in the early days, but now there's more public EV charging points, and EV charging points in residential properties is a lot more accessible and easier, and the price point is, it isn't too high. So all of these things are leading to more electric vehicles being purchased, and it's encouraging to know that 14,000 new EV cars were registered in to date in 2021. So again, thank you to Sinead Farrell.